I like battle royale anime. They were an easy premise for some good action scenes and a bunch of interesting characters. Yet they always seem to mess up somewhere in the second half of the story and go completely off the rails. And so most battle royale anime end up not being very good for a multitude of reasons, but they remain a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. So when in 2019... Wait, the show was from 2017? I could have sworn it was 19. Weird. Anyway, so when in 2017 Juni Taisen was announced, it was written by Nishu Ishin from Monogatari fame. I had hoped that this one would break the mold of mediocrity. After all, his works are usually quite good, so it should easily be a better take on the genre, right? Well, I remember enjoying it well enough, but ultimately, I forgot completely what happened in it. And now having rewatched it, that is quite ironic that I forgot all about it for reasons we'll get to later. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sora, and welcome to a review of me rewatching Juni Taisen.
Everybody, clap your hands!
So first off, how come I'm rewatching this? Good question really, as I'm now done watching it and I find myself wondering the same. I think it is a combination of being horribly disappointed by last year's Battle Royale anime Tosekatsu being a steaming pile of garbage, and me hearing the opening song of Juni Taisen being played at the anime convention I went to. Somehow it just stuck in my head and left me thinking, that show was good, or was it? Am I just misremembering? Hell, I don't even remember most of it. And so I rewatched it, and well then, I'm not sure if I enjoyed it all that much. I even had issues staying motivated to keep watching it, but that might have just been on me. Juni Taisen is a story about 12 warriors, all either mercenaries or assassins, from 12 big and important families in the world, fighting each other. Why are the families important? Yes. It doesn't really get explained, but it is safe to assume that they are wealthy, are responsible for wars and conflicts, and probably also dabble in politics to some degree. And every few years a tournament gets held that pits each family's chosen fighter against each other, in a fight to decide who the strongest is, and the winner gets the right to have a wish granted. How is this wish made true? Do they have holy grails? No, the organizer can just grant wishes somehow. Don't worry about it, they never explain it either. Each of the family and their contestants symbolize an animal from the Chinese zodiac, hence the show's name, Zodiac War, which already raises a question that never gets explained. Some of them have very obvious animal traits to them, like the sheep and the ox having horns, but some others of them, like the boar, wear tusk earrings in a way to identify which animal they represent. Are all of them just cosplaying as the animal they represent, or are they actually born with these traits and is it natural? As the sheep is seen outside of the fights in flashbacks also with horns. Don't worry, it doesn't get explained, they just look cool I guess. Anyway, all 12 of them get dumped into a random city that has been evacuated for the fight, and we follow the boar on our way to the location where the fight starts. On our way there we get a flashback, which explains her and her family's circumstances and a little bit of who she is. And it turns out she's a massive bitch, as she mentally tortured her sister who was supposed to take her place in the fight to the point of suicide, so she would take her place, just because she felt her father had wronged her by not sending her to the fight in the first place. But by the time she gets to the meeting spot set by the organizers, we get to learn that one of the contestants, the snake, is already dead before the fight even started. Good job there, buddy. A bit later all the other warriors have gathered, and the organizer of the wolf fight instructs them to swallow a gem, as only one can win by recovering each participant's gem, all 12 in total. And after that, he reveals it was actually poison, so that there is a time limit to this wolf fight and the participants are actually forced to fight each other. Because in the previous fight, someone escaped to the other side of the world and dragged countless of civilians into this mess. And as soon as he leaves, before the fighters can say much to one another, the bell in the air explodes, sending them scattering in different directions. It is there that the boar decides to make use of the situation and prepares to kill the rabbit, a fight which he could have won if it weren't for those meddling kids. The reanimated headless body of the snake grabbing her from behind, giving the rabbit an opportunity to kill her and turn her into a zombie under his command. Yep, the rabbit is a necromancer, and he already has 2 people under his control by the end of the first episode, and it's only downhill from there. The show kinda tried to bait the viewer into thinking we would be following the boar for this story, with a focus on her for the entire episode, only to kill her off at the end of it. And this is a trick the show will be keep using from this point forward. To its detriment, I might add. The show will explain a little bit about the character, and then kill him off by the end of the episode. making the outcome of most fights a foregone conclusion, lacking any suspense as you know who is going to die. Also, the rabbit being a necromancer, yeah, that's just possible, don't worry about it. The power system in this world is all over the place, as we don't really get to see what is normal for these humans and what isn't. The world seems to be at war in multiple areas, so it was safe to assume from Boar's backstory that all of these participants are either some sort of spy, mercenary, assassin or army veteran. But then it decides to throw in that necromancers, a necromantis as Rabbit calls himself, exist in this world, just kinda out of nowhere. And it doesn't stop there for magical powers. The dragon can just fly, and the chicken can control birds in her vicinity, but others lack these more fantastical powers. Like the tiger and the monkey seem to be martial artists, and the sheep is an explosive expert, or the ox just being a genius with a sword. And the boar has the weirdest power yet, the power of infinite ammo. But where does that ammo even come from if she never needs to reload? Don't worry about it. It creates a weird power dynamic that seems unbalanced and hard to take serious, as it is rife for assballs with powers not thought to be possible at first. Though admittedly, the necromancer reveal comes at the end of the first episode, so you might expect something is going on, but it still gives you a weird frame of reference to pull from. But alright, sure, I can overlook these things, even the talking monkeys that seemingly exist in this world. It is a battle royale after all. We need some interesting powers to make the fight cool, right? Nah, that is where you're wrong, because half of the cast in this just kinda dies instantly in a blink it and you miss it manner. The deaths happen so abruptly that the fights are over immediately, you can't even really call them a fight most of the time. Then again, maybe it was meant to depict a discrepancy in power or skill between individual warriors. I guess it could have been a possible approach to it, but as it stands, the encounters, as I'm hesitant to call them fights, go as follows. The snake immediately gets decapitated by the rabbit when he and Dragon meet him. The boar gets surprised by a zombie snake and gets killed by the rabbit. The chicken betrays the dog who had a small and steady alliance after he gave her doping, but then she randomly comes across the ox who just instantly strikes her down. The sheep gets instigated by the tiger as soon as they meet. The monkey loses one of the actual fights against the rabbit. The dragon gets surprised in the sky by the rabbit, who got launched up to him with the monkey's aid and cleaves him in half. The horse just kinda dies and suffocates in a fire. Yep, there isn't even a fight there. And the ox and the monkey strike down the rabbit in one rapid exchange, before he reanimates himself, resulting in the tiger needing to be put down by the ox, after she mortally got injured by one of the rabbit's severed arms coming back to life, as she refuses to become a zombie. And finally the ox dies in an explosion set off by the rat, who uses a self-made bomb from the sheep that he left behind, because the ox found himself facing off the reanimated rabbit and he was pinned down by a zombified monkey. The zombified monkey who was hiding in the rabbit's body that he reconstructed after he got cut into 100 tiny pieces. Yeah. This whole plot point is beyond stupid, by the way. Sure, he is a necromancer, but how is he able to control himself after his death? And wouldn't him dying break the magic spell on all the other zombies? We have no idea how this magic is supposed to work, it all just feels like an asspull. Likewise, you could say that the rat winning the entire thing could also be an asspull, as he was hiding the entire time waiting to win. I wouldn't call it an asspull though, that is a pretty valid strategy if you ask me. It is kinda lame that we never see him fight though, but sure. What I do take issue with is the horse, who initially wanted to form an alliance and work together with the legendary ox, but the ox wasn't really interested in that and just fought him, resulting in the horse getting his handed to him so badly that he went into hiding. And then later, the place he was hiding in got put on fire by the snake, and he just kinda ended up suffocating in the smoke. Lamest way to go by far, and he was lauded as one of the strongest fighters too. Lauded by who, you ask? The underground deep state gambling ring that is betting on the outcome of the fight, of course. A plot hook that exists and doesn't really matter at all. It gets mentioned twice and that's it. That's all that ever gets done with it. It gets insinuated that he holds some geopolitical powers at the end of the tournament, and he holds influence over several countries that he uses as betting chips. Kinda implying that the 12 warriors might have always just been dancing to their tune, as they would be behind the wars and territory disputes, and the warriors get sent in to resolve them. But it doesn't really have any bearing on the rest of the story, so I guess? That world, by the way, it looks a lot like our normal Earth, but something is fucky with this globe you get to see in a few shots. Some of these continents do not exist, but others do. I guess you just have to assume that this isn't Earth, but a war-torn alternate reality instead. Alright, but after all that, like I said, the red wins in the end. as it gets revealed that his power is the ability to see around 100 different future timelines instantaneously, and this is the only one in which he survived. He gets taken in by the organizer of the fight to answer some questions, also showing his futures where he gets killed if he doesn't agree to the interview for unexplained reasons, and he gets to grant his wish. But the issue is, he doesn't know what he wants to wish for, and so the entire last episode is spent on him thinking over his options, as we also get to see some of the other participants' wishes. The boar just wanted a massive harem of men, the dog just wanted to take care of an orphan girl he'd found during one of his missions, the dragon and snake both just want money, and the chicken wanted self-confidence. The problem, however, the rat has no dreams or ambitions of his own, so he mulls over hundreds of possible wishes that could be granted, and as he can't think of anything he wants, he elects to wish to forget about all of it, so he doesn't have to be tormented with questioning the endless options. And then the organizer just kinda shows up out of nowhere, grants his wish and takes his memory of all the events that transpired, and that's how the show ends, with one final fuck you. Nothing even mattered. The end. I said I forgot a lot about this anime since the last time I watched it when it aired, which makes this ending all the more ironic, as there isn't really anything too worthwhile to remember. The fights? Almost non-existent. Character motivations? We get maybe 2 or 3 of them explained. World building? Nah, just throw some random elements together and never elaborate on them. Which is kind of a letdown. I'm familiar with some of Nishiishin's other works, and qualitatively, they are much better. Katana Gatari and the Monogatari series are beloved by many, but it would seem that even he has his stinkers. And I wish I could tell you that at least the anime makes it look good, because oh boy does the show look rough at times. The characters all look like rough sketches, and anyone that isn't a warrior is relegated to looking like this, a blurry sketchy mess. I'm not even sure if this was a deliberate artistic decision by the studio, because if it was, it wasn't a good one. I rarely get truly annoyed at anime for looking bad, but this seems to be an exception. And even in the later episodes, for some of the shots the characters are rendered with 3D models instead for some reason. Even in mostly still shots. Did they run out of budget at this point? Even the soundtrack of the show is very memorable. At least the opening song is pretty nice. And it better be, as it is the sole reason I ended up remembering and rewatching the show. Unfortunately. Do I regret watching this? Well, maybe a little. I didn't particularly enjoy my time with it at least. Not to say that I was bored out of my mind or that it was a horrible experience or anything either. I just never really had the motivation or interest to keep watching it. Probably not helped by some personal stuff going on. But I pushed through and ended up staring at my text document for days wondering what to even write about it, before I settled on what you're hearing now. Ultimately resulting in this video taking much longer to make than it should have been by all rights.
But if you didn't miss one, then why did you keep watching it? You could have just stopped and watched another show to make a video on, you stupid bird brain.
Oh, shut up you, I get it. And well, you're not wrong, but I was also too deep into this already, and I didn't want to spend more time on starting something else. Mostly because YouTube really pushes for people to upload regularly, and I'd promised myself to make a video every month at the beginning of the year, but I ended up feeling that in the end anyway, didn't I? Well, there goes that New Year's resolution. I knew it would bite me in the ass sooner or later, but not even 2 months in and I already failed. Well, that's a new disappointment, even for me. Anyway, those are just me issues, and don't really have anything to do with the anime. However, it does suck that this is now the 2nd video in a row where I'm not super happy with what I ended up watching. And this video is probably not all that good as a result either, so sorry for wasting your time I guess. But with 2 negative videos out in a row now, I have to rethink my plan here. I should probably stick to shows I know and like that I want to talk about, instead of doing little side excursions like this. At least I can guarantee you for the next video that I absolutely love the show in question, oh yes. But that will do it for this, well, rant on Juni Taisen I guess I can call it. This was my name is Sora, and thank you all for watching. And I hope to see you next time, where we will talk about an anime I very much enjoy.